Alright, let's start with Skullraiser. Anyway, so Skullraiser, he has three major events, 2005, 2018, and 2022. And so, he was created when he was in a burning building, and eventually that burning building collapsed down, but he fell into this mutated waste that was inside the building, and his entire skin became the outer part of a skeleton. So it's basically like an animal, like you say, like an ant. So like a skeleton, you know how they have like the skeleton outside their body. So in 2005, he literally just came out of nowhere back from outer space, since he was launched there by Pea Shooter. And so when he came back, eventually he started another riot, which almost led to some states in the United States to be under control by him. 2018, though, was when he went to Polkistan, which is controlled by Lucario. And so in 2018, he went there and he took over a huge part of land from there, since he convinced people that they would be better off without being a part of the country. And then that's when in 2022, he literally came back to revive this guy, or at least help him. And so when he came back, he just started rampaging and started collecting multiple like things in order to help him. And so he got his entire army. And so we off to right here, Controller. In 1995, he basically was a scientist for the military, United States military, and then all of a sudden, in 1995, he was controlling over Polkistan. Unfortunately, Polkistan didn't really go down to him, and he fell into a coma because he was beaten by this guy after creating a machine, which would eventually be this one down here, and that blew up. And then so, in 2010, he came back out from his coma, and he tried doing the same thing again, but this time he actually did, in fact, die. He accidentally blew himself up. And so, in 2018, he comes back in this new form. And so, in 2018, he comes back, tries to defeat him right here. And so, when he comes back, he's trying to defeat him. And so, Peacher comes along, he beats him. And then he just basically isn't heard from again. He leaves and he's never seen again after that. Robert, 2018. So, Robert here, his only objective is to destroy the Elite Defenders, who are basically that. So the Elite Defenders, they eventually find out about this. And so when they find out, they basically try to beat him, but he's too strong and he has an army of clones that look exactly like him. Just the eye color is different. And so that's when he tries fighting them, but then is eventually beaten up by Pea Shooter over here. And so he's eventually beaten up, and then that's when his entire system, because he's kind of like an AI, in 2024, he comes back and he takes over a new body and starts attacking once again. But then he fails and he's completely erased. 2010, basically this is based off a Metal P2 suit, and there's a quite number of Metal P suits, but this one was stolen, Metal P suit 2, and it was turned to Mecha P. This had added adjustments, making it more movable and having more weapons, such as bringing out a blade. Because the blade literally goes back into his arm. But the thing is that it's piloted by someone. So someone's actually inside the suit. And he's basically against Gultar, Polkistan, Pea Shooter, and the Elite Defenders. And so he's basically just to be off of Pea Shooter, and the suit actually makes him think that he's Pea Shooter. 2010, he's made and starts rampaging. 2017, he takes control of a rebellion and starts fighting against Gultar itself. Now here, Jackson Furson. Now, as you can tell, you already know what he is, like some sort of like You already know what he is. And in 2018, it's Gultar and Pokistan that he's fighting against because he's working. Well, he's basically a troop of the country Pavin, which is another country in another world. Now, it's not a different universe, it's just a different world. And so, that's when all of a sudden, he just starts in 2018, he takes control over a couple of men, and eventually he goes out and starts fighting. He's not necessarily a bad, like, guy, he's just doing what it takes to protect his country and defend it. But it's just that I just put him on here because for some of the things that he does, like he interrogated some Gultarian troops, and sometimes he doesn't show mercy to them. Now, Virus Man. Now, the only reason why you're seeing Virus Man now is because I actually made him in 2019, but due to all the coronavirus stuff, I decided not to put him out since I didn't think it would be appropriate. So his this right here is supposed to be Raccoon Boy, and then the Elite Defenders. And so he basically, back in 2015, he created a cure for a virus, but nobody trusted it, which then made him feel unwanted. And so he started to give people some sort of virus, and, well, he just basically got put into prison after that by Raccoon Boy. But then he gave Raccoon Boy a virus, and virus would later on be deceased by 2019. So like 4 years after the fight. And so here's Ronald Smith. Now in 2044, not 2048. Sorry about that. Just ignore this. So in 2044, he basically started attacking Charlie Emerson, who is a time traveler and knows a couple of things called like crystals. And there's 7 crystals. And so he knows as much as Charlie does about the crystals. He's basically beaten up by Jason, who is the son of Lucario right here. And so he's beaten up by him in 2018, but in 2044, he was electrocuted, which is why he has those sparks right there, and one fully white eye. And so he's basically beaten by Charlie Emerson using an electric gun. And so he goes back 2018, he gets put into jail, and that's all we hear from him. 2005. This is Notchwalker. Basically, Notch means night in German, and so you can tell that he's a German troop from the past. He's beaten by Pea Shooter, and he comes back in 2005, meets up with Skullraiser, and basically has an army of the dead, just like Skullraiser does. And so that's when he tries to fight back, taking over the world, but eventually it fails. Now this right here is just a dash. So the dash right here, this dash is basically representing something else. So this right here represents the timeline. This right here represents the year. So timeline 5-2021. So basically, he is created but with another couple of types of his own kind, and so I don't really have a preferred name what to call him, but he can transform into like a jet. He can transform to a jet, and so basically he starts feeling that the world is starting to be threatened by him and everyone else, and so he feels like it's better off if the world just isn't with them. It starts attacking him. Unfortunately, he gets destroyed by him, and that's just the end of him. He just gets created, starts going rogue, and just eventually dies. Yeah, you'll see he leaves like a couple of his people to just fight. Alright, so here is the greatest of them all. Okay, I didn't give him hair color, and didn't give his coat any other color. I just forgot, and I'm too lazy to do it right now. And in 1920, he basically became a criminal after his friend's death and decides that he tried to revive him. Fortunately, he then gets shot and frozen into San Francisco Bay. Then he's pulled out. In 2010, he basically gets set free and goes into hiding. He doesn't come out until 2022, which then he fights off against basically Pea Shooter, Lucario, the Elite Defenders, just basically anyone. And so he starts fighting them off, and he wins. He wins, but then in 2023, he comes back, he fights more, and then eventually Pea Shooters revive. They get sent to the Arctic, and then he's nuked. He's nuked, but then he comes back later on in the future, but this time he doesn't do anything wrong. Instead, he's put into a facility and then hospitalized, and then he just dies eventually. So Absorber here, he can literally absorb anybody's power. He can just literally absorb anyone's power, which is why he has Ronald Smith swords, and he has the spikes legs of Controller. So this eventually leads him to be more powerful than ever. Now this one's called Cartooner. Cartooner, not Controller, Cartooner. And so basically he creates cartoon-like creatures to life. And eventually this leads him to fight off the Gultarian forces and Polkistan. Polkistan, not Pakistan, Polkistan. So eventually he leads a rebellion in 2010 and they fight off. And then that's when they go into hiding for a while, starting to cause terror against some of the land. And then in 2017, he comes back with a bigger army, fights off, but then he's killed by one of the Gultarian troops named Alex Oxlong. This, of course, then leads him to become the leader, and both of them to team up to fight against Gultar and Polkistan. 1995, basically, he just comes back to life, just basically starts just like infecting people, and eventually this leads him to create an entire army and then multiple bases around the countries around the world. And so as you can tell, he's basically the same as Notchwalker, but he's the leader. He was the leader before Notchwalker became the leader, because he's actually first command, and that's actually the second command. Second to command. And so he's the leader, but then he gets blown up in 1995, leaving him to be the leader. And so this one, I don't know how to pronounce it right, but it's the capital of Iceland, Reykjavik, I'm not sure. Because this one right here, his name is Berlin. This is Reykjavik. So, of course, like the same thing as him, but of course the same thing as him, Timeline 5. And eventually in 2018, he starts to see the destruction that they are causing. And so that's when he just betrays his siblings or cousins. I don't know how you call them. Basically, we'll just call them siblings. He starts fighting off his siblings, which is basically, here's one of them, Helsinki. And so Helsinki decides that enough is enough, and he just eventually blows him up too. Just that, basically that's the most efficient way for all of these. Most of them just get blown up. Like literally just blown up. And who else did I say just get blown up? I think I said somebody else here got blown up, but I'm not sure. I think I said he got blown up. I'm not sure. I have to look back at the footage. It doesn't matter anyway. I'm just going to post this anyway. Let's see this hand movement. I can't do anything about this. I can't do anything. All right. And so basically he gets blown up. That's it. And then here is, I haven't had a name for this. If you guys have a name, please tell me. I'll put it in and I'll reference you in the description. And so, he's basically created by him. This is the same machine that I said that he created and was blown up in. Well, not him himself. That's what put him into a coma. But this machine was blown up, but is rebuilt in 2005. Then comes back in 2018. Basically, this can control itself, but the weapons are weaponized. The weapons are controlled by humans, and humans, the undead, all those other creatures know how to control it. And basically, it's defeated by Lucario, and it also gets defeated by the Gultarian forces, also Gultar. And so eventually he just gets defeated. And those are the major criminals and antagonists of my story. I'll probably put out individual things for them, explaining more on, but right now this is all of them. See you all again.